Hello and welcome to a special coverage of the Union Budget 2018-19 Budget Matters, Budget Sabka, and also now what we're calling a caring budget. It's a budget, in fact, that has tried to perhaps bridge the divide that we're seeing between the rich and the poor. We're seeing one of the biggest health schemes that have been announced. We're seeing, of course, a big focus on agriculture, rural economy, trying to, of course, voice the concerns of what, of course, the farmers have been asking for all this while. But apart from that, we also saw some interesting developments also in the front of education, in the front of infrastructure as well, and also taxation, something that, of course, the middle class has always been looking at, but no change in that income tax slab, and that's something that we'll be looking at closely in this coming 1 hour.
बिल्कुल, और मैं हूं कविंद्र। लगातार जारी है चर्चा, हमारी खास कवरेज, और अगले 1 घंटे तक बात करेंगे कि बजट के पिटारे से 3 बड़ी चीजें हैं। बैंकों को लेकर या फिर उनको मजबूत करने, क्रेडिट को बढ़ाने के लिए क्या कुछ कदम उठाए गए हैं, उसका इम्पैक्ट क्या होगा और वाकई जो टूल्स हैं वो कितने यूजफुल रहने वाले हैं। साथ ही टैक्स सेक्टर को लेकर इंडिविजुअल और कॉर्पोरेट दोनों में क्या बदलाव हुए हैं, उसका इम्पैक्ट कहां पर होगा, उसका इम्पैक्ट इकोनॉमी पर कितना पड़ेगा, और तीसरा मार्केट कैसे इसको देख रहा था और अब उसका रिएक्शन क्या है। लेकिन शुरुआत करेंगे कुछ बड़ी अहम घोषणाओं से जो कि आज बजट में सामने आई हैं। वित्त मंत्री अरुण जेटली ने बजट को आज जब रखा तो सबसे बड़ा फोकस दिखा है गरीबी और किसान। जी हां, नए और आधुनिक भारत के लिए बजट पेश करते हुए वित्त मंत्री ने कृषि, स्वास्थ्य, बुनियादी ढांचे और उद्योग जगत की समस्याओं के हल के लिए कई कदमों का ऐलान किया। इसके साथ बजट में गांव और गरीब के लिए बड़ी घोषणाएं की गई हैं। दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी स्वास्थ्य बीमा योजना का ऐलान इस बजट में किया गया है। इस योजना के तहत 10 करोड़ परिवारों को, करीब 50 करोड़ जो लोग हैं उनको 5 लाख रुपए प्रति परिवार कैशलेस मेडिकल बीमा कवर की बात कही गई है। किसानों के लिए कई योजनाएं जिसकी घोषणा हुई है। खरीफ फसलों के लिए लागत से 1.5 गुना न्यूनतम समर्थन मूल्य तय किया जाएगा। अगले वित्त वर्ष में किसान कर्ज का लक्ष्य 11 लाख करोड़ करने का प्रस्ताव रखा गया है। 2022 तक हर गरीब को घर देने का लक्ष्य इस बजट में है। सौभाग्य योजना के जरिए 4 करोड़ गरीबों को बिजली कनेक्शन दिए जाने की घोषणा है। उज्ज्वला योजना के तहत 8 करोड़ गरीब महिलाओं को मुफ्त गैस कनेक्शन देने का भी ऐलान है। स्वच्छ भारत मिशन के तहत 2 करोड़ और शौचालय बनाने का लक्ष्य बजट में रखा गया है। रेल और सड़क के लिए इस बजट में अब तक का सबसे बड़ा आवंटन किया गया है। रेलवे के लिए सरकार ने 1.48 लाख करोड़ रुपए का बजट आवंटित किया है। व्यक्तिगत आयकर की दरों में कोई बदलाव नहीं हुआ है। सभी वेतनभोगियों को 40,000 का स्टैंडर्ड डिडक्शन देने की घोषणा आज की गई है। बजट में वरिष्ठ नागरिकों को जमा राशि पर मिलने वाले ब्याज आय में 50,000 रुपए तक की छूट का ऐलान बजट में किया गया है। बुनियादी ढांचा क्षेत्र के लिए 5.97 लाख करोड़ रुपए का आवंटन हुआ है। तो बजट में इनकम टैक्स की दरों में बदलाव नहीं किया गया है, लेकिन वेतन में 40,000 रुपए का स्टैंडर्ड डिडक्शन किया गया है और इससे 2.5 करोड़ नौकरी पेशा और पेंशन भोगियों को राहत मिलने की उम्मीद है।
In order to provide relief to salaried taxpayers, I propose to allow a standard deduction of rupees 40,000 in lieu of present exemption in respect of transport and reimbursement of miscellaneous medical expenses. However, transport allowance at enhanced rates shall continue to be available to differently abled persons. Also, other medical reimbursement benefits in the case of hospitalization for all employees shall continue. Apart from reducing paperwork and compliance, this will help the middle class employees even more in terms of reduction of their tax liability. This decision to allow a standard deduction shall significantly benefit pensioners also, who normally do not enjoy any allowance on account of transport and medical expenses. The revenue cost of this decision is approximately rupees 8,000 crores.
All right, so we've got, of course, a few of our guests who've been joining us, of course, through the morning and afternoon and evening as well. And this we've got Mr. Arvind Virmani, who is the economist and former advisor to Ministry of Finance with us. We have Mr. Badrinath, policy at Financial Chronicle, and Mr. M Vasudev, former finance secretary, with us in studio. Mr. Vasudev, if I could start with you. We started this discussion. Oh, I'm sorry. We're just being told that Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is reacting, of course, on the budget too. Let's listen into what she's saying.
In anticipation, hopefully keeping our fingers crossed in anticipation of the budget, although I did very explicitly say that it is the discretion of the Finance Minister, now that the announcement has been made of the two corridors, defence production corridors. The first one, we hope, will be established in Tamil Nadu, and that will be the corridor which runs from Chennai, passing through Tiruchi, which goes down south, goes to Kochi, goes to Coimbatore, and then goes to Hosur. So it will be a linking of Chennai and Bangalore between the two places in a sort of a V shape. You have all the small and medium manufacturers who have already made a very big difference. Of course, you know the auto hub is there, the tank factory is there, L&T's Kattupalli is there, Hindustan Aeronautical Limited, which is in Bangalore, also procures a lot of its components from Hosur belt. So that area will now have the first defence corridor, and the second one we'll announce sooner in a different part of the country. So,
ma'am, is the money that you have in hand, that you will have in hand, enough for the sort of modernization you're looking at?
All right, so there you have the Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman talking, of course, about the infrastructural projects that are, of course, going to be undertaken. But, I would like to start, of course, Mr. Vasudev, with the tax bracket not being changed, at least the personal income tax bracket not being changed. That is something, as always, when the budget comes around, is something that people look forward to. Do you think, in that sense, there's a bit of disappointment?
Well, I'm sure there is disappointment, but I believe that the hallmark of a good tax system is stability. You can't keep tinkering with the slabs and rates every year, and there'll be demands from this side or that side. I think as long as they can have a stable tax regime, it is, I think, good for the system. So people may have been expecting, but I think he's done well in not tinkering with the slabs at this point of time. He has given some concessions, standard deduction, which is good for the salaried people, because there is quite a big distortion between the taxes on their income which salaried people pay and business people pay. So there is, and he gave some numbers for that also. So that is a good, he's given them a standard deduction, and he has also tried to do the other correction with regard to the long-term capital gains, because after all, income is income. Why should different forms of income carry different rates of taxes? If you're a salaried person, you pay tax on your marginal rate, but if you got a capital gains on your stocks, then you don't pay any tax. So that also is not a very equitable system. So he has tried to correct that, and done it in a very, I think, prudent manner by grandfathering the capital gains which have occurred till January 2018. So I think all in all, his package for taxes is good. And if you take the indirect taxes, the GST, I think the benefits of the reforms which are undertaken in terms of demonetization, GST, there is clear evidence that the benefits have started kicking in. You see the process of formalization of the informal economy is starting to take place. More and more people are entering the tax net. The number of SSCs under the GST thing also is more than 50% up. The number of people who are filing tax returns has gone up considerably. So more and more people are entering the formal economy. So the tax package of the budget and the reforms which were done prior to the budget, I think all in all they are giving good dividends at this point of time.
अरविंद जी, टैक्स के बारे में जैसा कि कहा वासुदेव साहब ने, बहुत अहम है, लेकिन क्या यहाँ पर बहुत ज़्यादा स्कोप फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर के पास नहीं था, या बदलने से उसका इम्पैक्ट उतना नहीं होता जितनी नाराज़गी ज़्यादा शायद दिखती?
टैक्सेस की बात कर रहे हैं। नहीं, देखिए, दो तीन चीज़ें हैं। एक तो पिछले साल जो लोएस्ट ब्रैकेट का 5% किया था, और दूसरा है कि ये लॉन्ग स्टैंडिंग डिमांड है कि सैलरीड पीपल थोड़ा अनफेयरली ट्रीटेड हैं रिस्पेक्ट टू बिजनेस. सो गिवन द बेस this is not surprising क्योंकि काफ़ी salaried base है इस party का, which is fine. I mean, that is as long as it doesn't go overboard. So that is actually quite a careful reform. I just was reading again क्योंकि certain क्या कहते हैं जो transport allowance etc. वो निकाल दिए गए हैं और एक standard deduction दी है. कई health expenditures का अभी is still there. So it's actually, if one considers it, which I had not earlier, it's actually a reform. You know, what I would call a reform, क्योंकि we don't like these very, you know, 10-10 चीज़ें कि एक transport पे ये एक standard is better than having a transport deduction, health deduction, ये.
एक uniformity
So actually, now that I think about it, it's quite a neat reform. And I would say that except for certain customs and other, again, you know, initially economists कहते हैं कि आप customs duty the top rate is 10, उसको 10 कर दिया, 15 कर दिया, 20 कर दिया. Normally we would object, but here again, you know, I make a distinction with non-market economies. So we will not name them, but अगर they are carefully chosen, and because we have anti-dumping ये वो तो चलता रहता है, but to carefully select the commodities to address that dumping issue, I would go along with. तो इस तरह ये हर टैक्स पे थोड़ा disquiet होता है, but if one looks carefully, it's a good balanced tax changes. Now big reforms couldn't be expected क्योंकि वो कमिटी बनाई हुई है जो डायरेक्ट टैक्स का ओवरऑल रिफॉर्म
करेगी. बिल्कुल. बद्रीनाथ सर, वाकई टैक्स को लेकर जो कि कहा विमल साहब ने कि रिफॉर्म की तरह से देखा जाए और धीरे धीरे जो स्पेस था वो इतना बड़ा चेंज ओवर की उम्मीद नहीं कर सकते बजट में, क्योंकि उसके लिए एक अलग कमेटी है, उसकी रिकमेंडेशन कंपल्शन है एक तरीके से.
See, point here is that the Arvind Modi committee has been set up to look at the overall tax package in terms of direct taxes. But here my personal impression is there is not much of a reform in the direct taxes. Only thing is you have just clubbed the heads, number one. Number two, the loud thinking actually here is that he is the finance minister against the salaried class. Why is it that he is dealing a very big negative blow on the salaried class? And the salaried class is the one which has voted for him. The salaried class is the one which has stood by him during demonetization. The salaried class is the one which has stood by him in terms of when there is a problem of your currency demonetization. If that is the case, this is the payback time for him actually. And it also makes a right political statement for him to appease the salaried class. I am not unhappy about giving a good deal for the farmers. But I am unhappy that he is not giving a good deal for the, say for example, I will tell you the issues that Dr. Virmani has raised or Mr. Vasudev has raised. As the point here is, you have given a standard deduction of about 50,000 rupees or 40 rupees in this sense. But what is it? You are even anti-investment. The point is, if I am going to invest in mutual funds, you want to tax 10% on the gains, which was never there earlier. And you are saying that, okay, I am losing about, how much is he losing in terms of 4,000, 8,000, 12,000 crores altogether on the direct taxes side. But what is he gaining in terms of mutual funds alone? It's about 15,000 crores. The point is here, he is taking more away, leave alone giving me something in terms of relief.
Mr. Vasudev,
this is my moot point, my dear.
Would you like to react to that? That in a way, this is like going against, the concept of investments, encouraging investments.
The point is that in any, I think, good tax regime, there should not be any color attached to income. Income is income. Whether you get a salary or you get something return on your mutual funds, or you get capital gains on your tax, or you get dividends, whatever. Income should not have different colors. If that be so, why should a salaried person pay a marginal rate of taxation, even 20% or 25% or 30%, whatever his bracket, but somebody who is sitting at home invested in mutual fund only pay 10%. Earlier he was paying nothing. So why should there be different colors attached to different forms of income? income is income and it should be taxed uniformly. That's what I feel.
और क्या ये जो कैपिटल गेन टैक्स शॉर्ट टर्म लॉन्ग टर्म में इसका इम्पैक्ट मार्केट पर या फिर वहाँ पर इन्वेस्टमेंट पर जो कि बद्रीनाथ करें?
देखिए ये थोड़ा सा कॉम्प्लिकेटेड इशू है, मैं ज़्यादा नहीं बताऊंगा, पर क्योंकि आपके व्यूअर्स शायद इंटरेस्टेड नहीं होंगे, पर जो कॉरपोरेट टैक्स इशू है ना, उसमें एक डबल टैक्सेशन की इशू है, तो थोड़ी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड है। तो अगर हम कहें कि देयर इज़ नो सच थिंग एज डबल टैक्सेशन, फिर तो जो ये कह रहे हैं वो सही बात है। पर जो दूसरी साइड पे कहते हैं कि एक्चुअली आप डबल टैक्सेशन कर रहे हो, तो ये एक बार ही कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स ले लिया है आपने पूरा, तो और किसी चीज़ पे नहीं होना चाहिए, तो इसको छोड़ दीजिए। बट जो जनरल प्रिंसिपल ये बता रहे हैं वो सही है कि लाइक इनकम पे लाइक टैक्स होना चाहिए।
All right. We are also looking at, how the markets reacted, Badrinath. Can you give us an idea of what was it? What was it that, we didn't see a major tanking definitely, but nonetheless, the kind of buoyancy that we saw even pre-budget, things were pretty steady, they were in the green, but they of course fell, marginally, 60 points, but still they did fall. What was the reason for that?
Well, the point here is that whatever could be the reaction of the markets, the issue here is more than 1.5 million taxpayers who are being genuinely paying tax are hit, and hit very badly at that. And faithful, honorable taxpayers should be honored better. Otherwise, what is the incentive for me to pay tax at all? And Mr. Vasudev has, and both the gentlemen have been in the finance ministry for so long, even before I entered the profession. So point here is, I guess that I need their support to say the justify. How can anyone justify taking away about 35,000 crores in terms of both mutual funds as well as this thing?
या जो वैलिड इनका इक्विटी का पॉइंट है, पर उसमें यू हैव टू रिमेंबर दैट मच ऑफ दिस कैपिटल गेन्स इज एक्चुअली गोइंग टू कॉर्पोरेट्स एंड गोइंग टू लार्ज इन्वेस्टर्स एटसेट्रा ऑल्सो. So it is, though I appreciate his problem, which also is valid. I mean, as a common taxpayer, but these things have to be weighed, and you have to look at the overall impact.
Okay.
So he is right that maybe one should relook at overall impact on somebody like him.
See, the dividend tax, dividend distribution tax in the hands of the investors was earlier, abolished. We thought the dividend distribution tax will be completely withdrawn. Today, what is it that I have got? I have got another tax. It doesn't mean that the salaried class is an expendable commodity in terms for the finance minister and the voter base of NDA. What is this?
चलिए बद्रीनाथ सर, आपने लगता है कि जो एक बड़ी नाराजगी है इस सेक्टर को लेकर, जो एक मिलना चाहिए था वो दिखी है, और जो कि विरमानी साहब कह रहे हैं वो भी है कि सरकार के सामने सामंजस्य बैलेंस का जो मसला है उसको लेकर भी शायद उन्होंने इसको इस स्थिति पर लाकर यहाँ पर खड़ा किया है। अब बात करते हैं इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की, ट्रेसी, क्योंकि एक ऐसा सेक्टर है जिसको लेकर लगातार उम्मीद थी और जो एक बूस्टर का काम करता है इकोनॉमिक को ग्रोथ देने के लिहाज से। वादेव सर, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर सेक्टर को लेकर जो घोषणाएं आज के बजट में हुई हैं, ये कितनी, मैं कहूँ कि बूस्ट कर पाएंगी इकोनॉमी को, और जिस तरीके से हमने देखा है कि ग्रोथ हो या फिर जो डिमांड रही है कई सेक्टर्स में काफ़ी ज़्यादा एक स्लो डाउन हुआ है, या फिर मैं कहूँ कि एक मूविंग पोजीशन से थोड़ा सा और बैक में हम आए हैं।
देखिए, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, अगर आप सोशल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर साइड देखें, उसमें तो नई चीज़ें अनाउंस हुई हैं, जैसे यूनिवर्सल हेल्थ स्कीम एंड वेरियस अदर थिंग्स, मगर जो दूसरा आपका फिज़िकल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है उसमें कोई बहुत नया इनिशिएटिव तो अनाउंस नहीं हुआ है, अदर देन प्रोवाइडिंग मोर मनी फॉर पब्लिक इन्वेस्टमेंट आइदर डायरेक्टली फ्रॉम द बजट और फ्रॉम एक्स्ट्रा बजटरी रिसोर्सेज थ्रू PSUs और NHAI और पावर sector, public sector entities and all that. I think 5 lakh crores or something शायद उन्होंने अनाउंस किया extra investment. It is really more of the same. I don't think any new initiative has announced for greater private sector participation in infrastructure development, greater public private partnership in that area. उन एरियाज़ में तो कोई नया इनिशिएटिव अनाउंस नहीं हुए हैं, सिर्फ यही हुआ है कि पब्लिक इन्वेस्टमेंट में इजाफा होगा, which is good, but it is more of the same. On social infrastructure, they have certainly made some very major new initiatives, especially the universal health scheme, but details of that have yet to be seen, how it is going to be financed, whether it is going to be done through an insurance company, whether government is going to pay the dividend, how the beneficiaries are going to be identified, and all those other things, details have to be worked out, which I was listening to the post-budget discussion of the finance minister also on some channel, and he was also saying that these details have yet to be worked out, but the concept and the principle has been accepted, and this is what they will do during the coming months.
I would just add that, you know, there one thing which I like is that there is a degree of integration. He is quite right, I agree, that there isn't a big boost. Some of these things were announced by the transport minister in the last few months, etc., Sagarmala, etc.
Yes, yes.
But what I do note, which I like, is the renewed emphasis on the link roads, you know, in the villages, rural areas, and specifically mentioned links of villages to markets, schools, and health centers. Now, you know, this may be obvious to when we hear it, but these things tend to get neglected, and it integrates well with the other stuff which agriculture program, health, education. It's always useful to re-emphasize and bring to attention. On the other hand, on the expenditure side, actually it's not so good at all, because the capital expenditure allocation actually went down by 11%. Is what one of the things I heard, though it's not very clear till now. And the increase in the next budget is only about 12%. So by and large, I agree with Mr. Vasudev on his point.
Yeah, just to supplement, I think the link roads concept has been there also earlier in the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. One of the objectives was to link the farmers with the mandis and to link them with district towns and small towns and all that. So that was already there. And he's also right that the capital expenditure was less this year as compared even to the budget estimates, and I believe it is because the railways had not spent the entire allocation of capital expenditure. So they had surrendered some amount. So that was getting reflected. So ultimately, government in the budget can provide a lot of extra money for infrastructure, but the capacity of the implementing agency to spend also should be there.
All right.
So you can't sort of just
we'll continue this
provide
discussion,
money and not
but
spend it.
Yeah, but since we're talking on infrastructure, we also have, as we've been getting, of course, reactions from various ministers. We heard Nirmala Sitharaman a short while back, but we also have a reaction from Union Minister Chaudhry Birender Singh. Let's listen into that and come back.
Sir, what do you think, which kind of budget is this?
You know, the last 4 years of our government, we came out with lot of schemes, flagship programs, and in that period, our focus was not only development, but the transformation of economy, transformation of society as well. And this budget, which is the final 5th year budget by Shri Arun Jaitley, it is in the direction to strengthen those initiatives of transformation of our government. This is the reflection which we were pleading from the very beginning, that don't expect any results, immediate, instant result of demonetization and GST, but in the long run, these steps, which are historic steps, would give lot of, the expectation of a economy which is transparent, the expectation of our people to see that government takes care of their interest, not only in one section of the society, but all sections of the society. If you go through this budget, the major step is in the agriculture sector.
You are a son of a farmer, sir, and always spoke about the benefit of the farmers. Is it a good budget for the farmers?
Yes, I would say that if we compare, if I say that in my political career, if I see the entire focus of a budget, then this is the only budget where the center point is the farmers of this country, agriculture of this country.
The government is focusing more on the infrastructure developments. And do you think, you being the steel minister, do you think this budget will take you more further? It will boom the infrastructure, which is most important thing which is required?
Yeah, yes, if you are to progress, then efficient infrastructure is the need of the hour. And any country which has developed and classified as the developed country, now we are moving towards that direction. India is to go a long way for creating an efficient and quality infrastructure. And in that direction, Prime Minister has made it so many times very clear that if we have a efficient infrastructure, we will have a efficient economy. So the credit goes to Narendra Bhai Modi for these initiatives.
चौधरी वीरेंद्र सिंह बता रहे थे इस बजट को लेकर जो उम्मीदें थी उस पर सरकार कितनी पूरी कर रही है और जो एजेंडा था उस पर आगे बढ़ती दिख रही है। बद्रीनाथ जी, जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की बात हो रही है, एलोकेशन नई योजनाएं जरूर नहीं अनाउंस हुई हैं बजट में, लेकिन 25% जो एलोकेशन है वो बढ़ाया है वित्त मंत्री ने इस बार। ये जो इम्पैक्ट है, क्योंकि इसे एक ड्राइवर फोर्स की तरह माना जाता है, जीडीपी जो रेट है उस पर ये 25% का एलोकेशन बढ़ा है। और जैसे कि विरमानी सर ने कहा कि कई बार ये एलोकेशन पीछे उतना यूज नहीं हुआ, अलग अलग कारण रहे हैं। ये फोकस दिखता है, लेकिन रुकावट कहाँ पर है, हर्डल कहाँ पर है, जिसे दूर करना होगा।
The point here is that like Mr. Vasudev was pointing out earlier, the absorption capacity which had not happened in the infrastructure side seems to be the biggest hurdle there. And just allocating money alone may not help. And in fact, the pace of the construction of the projects in different sectors seems to have been very tardy for long. But it's a credit to this government that that process has increased. The implementation capacities have been increased. But also it's a fact that most of the funds that are there have to go into the social infrastructure rather than going into economic infrastructure projects. Economic infrastructure projects have to be mostly funded, A, from the private sector, B, extra budgetary resources, C, borrowing from both the domestic and global markets, which seems to be not happening till now. Perhaps there is a subtle shift that you are seeing right now that this is happening, but it will take a lot of time because most of them are long gestation projects. And except for the roads that you are seeing, all the other projects, there what you are seeing is just, the long gestation projects are not happening at all. So that seems to be the key.
All right, Mr. Vasudev, you seem to agree with that.
Well, I would agree with that to some extent, but I would say that the pace of implementation of many infrastructure projects in the highway sector and others has picked up considerably. And there is power sector also done very well. One doesn't hear of power shortages too much. Coal supplies, earlier one used to hear that thermal power stations don't have coal for more than 1 day, 2 days. There is no shortage of that. There are no supply constraints on that. So things have improved a lot. That's true. But at the same time, I think the task is so gigantic. He himself said, I don't know how many, 5.5 lakh crores or something investment is needed. You need to involve private sector in a much bigger way so that they can also carry part of this burden to develop infrastructure.
Also FDI?
Yeah, FDI, foreign investment, even private sector within India. So the public sector enterprises can only do this much, and they are doing, I think, a good job, but to the maximum ability. But the task is so huge. I think you need to bring in more players to do this work a little faster, to have world-class infrastructure that we are all very fond of talking about.
See, one of the problems has been that railway was a huge bureaucracy, almost a law unto itself. And the process of kind of bringing it under control has barely begun. I was sitting next to a railway person, and he was saying that the administrative reforms have not happened. But I think with the new railway minister, bureaucracy needs a little bit of a hard thing. I think the previous minister was a little soft, he was soft-hearted. You need somebody with a little danda, if I may put it. So I'm hopeful that in the next year or two, things will pick up on the railways. But I agree with Mr. Vasudev on the electricity end.
That apart, I think the benefit of merging the railway budget with the general budget was so evident now. That earlier railway budget used to have such a high profile, and the whole budget making became so politicized, and the
focus on only railway
had
and
to
schemes,
satisfy this constituency, this state, announcing lines which were never completed, semi-finished projects, announce a project here and a project there. So this time, since the whole railway budget making process has been depoliticized, you didn't see any of that. So that is a very big advantage of merging the railway budget with the general budget. You are now
another way to look at it
now
as
you are
well,
focusing on the real things which the railways need to do.
The other side of it is that it's the lifeline of the country, and people did look forward to what was it that they were going to get this time around. So in that sense, of course, the importance of the railways has gone to some extent.
I won't say so. I think the whole process of fixing passenger fares, the tariffs and all that got so politicized because the railway budget, go to parliament, it is a political decision, every small thing. You couldn't change one passenger fare without some MPs or other making a noise and all. So I think this depoliticization of railway budget was such a good move, and I think you are seeing the benefits of that now that it has become part of the general budget.
अरविंद जी, लेकिन रेलवे को लेकर के पहले ये कहा जाता था कि अलग रखने के पीछे सबसे बड़ा पीएसयू है, दुनिया में सबसे ज़्यादा रोजगार देता है, सबसे ज़्यादा यात्रियों को लाता ले जाता है, लेकिन बजट में साथ आने के बाद अभी जो एलोकेशन है इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर सेक्टर के साथ साथ हर्डल्स ज़रूर हैं, लेकिन वो पोटेंशियल जो दिख रहा था उसको हम क्या या कितने लेवल तक यूज़ कर पाए हैं, उसको निकाल पाए हैं, कितना बचता है, और उस दिशा में जो टूल्स हमने यूज़ किए हैं वो कितने कारगर रहे हैं?
देखिए, एक मैं आपको उदाहरण देता हूँ जिसका मैंने तकरीबन 20 साल पहले प्राइवेटाइजेशन ऑफ स्टेशन, मेरी एक बुक है उसमें लिखा हुआ है ये, गेटिंग प्राइवेट सेक्टर इनटू डेवलपिंग स्टेशन। अभी तक वो प्रोग्राम हैज़ नॉट रियली पिक्ड अप। सो इट इज़ दैट क्यों, मतलब क्या पार्टली इट्स एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव, partly it's that people don't trust the public sector, that they will change the rules later, etc. Partly it's of course is just figuring out, क्योंकि नई चीज़ है तो नई चीज़ को ठीक तरह उसका policy framework बनाना. But talking about PPP, I was talking about private investment, that's an easy thing. It should have been easy. But hopefully, as I said, I am hopeful that in the next few years you will start to see some results, even on a simple thing like that.
All right. Let's just turn focus a bit to the banking sector as well. Although we didn't see much, of course, as far as that in this particular budget. We did see, Mr. Badrinath, a recapitalization program which is allowing, of course, PSU banks to lend 5 lakh crores or more. Shouldn't have banks gone to the markets, in fact, to raise more funds, considering the buoyancy that we are in fact seeing in the stock markets?
See, raising funds is not a big issue as of now, my suspicion is. The issue is that money is available both in domestic as well as global markets. The point here is, my guess is that we should not put the taxpayers' money in the long-term economic infrastructure projects. Instead, most of the non-budgetary resources have to be mobilized for that. Number one. Number two, let me get back to what Dr. Virmani was saying. The issue here is, should we not, is it not time for us to completely dismantle the railway board? Unless some such drastic measures are taken, it is not possible to implement projects, even if we have the funds. Whether it is private sector or public-private partnership, which has not taken off till date, even in railways. So, our railway, the road projects are stuck because the right of way is not available. So, here issue is more procedural, issue is more bureaucratic, issue is more the hurdles. My guess is if you want to get the large projects going, then you first thing in the railways we need to do is dismantle the railway board, break up the railways into smaller companies and make it more agile companies so that it can be run on a socio-economic viability basis.
लेकिन बद्रीनाथ जी सबसे बड़ी यूनियन है जो आपने सुझाव दिए हैं वो विरमानी साहब शायद समझ सकते हैं कितना मुश्किल काम है उसके सामने उसको खड़ा करना। लेकिन चर्चा को आगे बढ़ाएं उससे पहले देखते हैं कि शहरी विकास मंत्री हरदीप सिंह पुरी ने बजट को लेकर क्या कुछ कहा है, क्या उनकी उम्मीद थी और कितनी पूरी हुई।
खास तौर पर कई आपके मंत्रालय को लेकर अहम ऐलान हुए, क्या देखते हैं क्या खास है और क्या रोड मैप रहेगा इस बजट को लेकर?
देखिए इस बजट में हमारे मंत्रालय के सारी जो तीनों स्कीम्स हैं और 3 क्या अमृत भी, उस सबको बहुत सपोर्ट मिलेगा, वो सारे बजट में डिटेल्स दी हुई है।
तो शहरी विकास मंत्रालय जो कि एक बड़ा काम कर सकता है और जो एलोकेशन उसके हिसाब से देखता है उस पर भी मैं जाऊंगा। उससे पहले रेलवे की जब बात रोनी साहब कर रहे थे, प्राइवेटाइजेशन की बात हो रही थी, एक मोटा आंकड़ा है 30,000 करोड़ से ज़्यादा की जो प्रॉपर्टी है उनके पास एसेट हैं, उसका अगर यूज़ या फिर प्राइवेटाइजेशन या उसको मैं कहूँ कि पीपीपी के तहत आगे लाने की जो बात हो रही थी, कितनी बड़ी तस्वीर बदल सकती है पॉजिटिवली और उसका इम्पैक्ट रेलवे उसकी फंक्शनिंग में कैसे हो सकता है?
देखिए लीगली क्योंकि हम सब कुछ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के हिसाब से करते हैं, लीगली वो रेलवे लैंड है, सो लीगली इट इज़ सपोज टू बी यूज्ड ओनली फॉर रेलवेज। तो अगर स्टेट्स ऑब्जेक्ट करें कि भाई आप रेलवे से लेकर किसी और को नॉन रेलवे पर्पस के लिए दे रहे हो, तो वो इश्यूज सॉर्ट आउट करनी पड़ती हैं। पार्ट ऑफ द वेज जैसे नीति वो सेटअप के इंटर स्टेट इश्यूज, सेंटर स्टेट इश्यूज, तो ये किसी सिस्टम में उसको पहले रिजॉल्व करना पड़ेगा। नो इट इज़ करेक्ट, कई कमिटीज़ ने बोला है कि इस लैंड का बेटर यूज़ करना चाहिए, बट आई थिंक इवन मोर इम्पॉर्टेंट इज़ कि जो कॉमन रिसोर्सेज जैसे उनका कम्युनिकेशन सिस्टम है या ऐसी इलेक्ट्रिसिटी सिस्टम है, वो चीज़ें अगर सेपरेट कर दी जाएं और सबके लिए यूज़ की जाएं, उसकी एफिशिएंसी बढ़ सकती है। सो दे आर मेनी थिंग्स। सर्टेनली लैंड को आप अगर बेच सकोगे तो उसको पैसे को और चीज़ों के लिए यूज़ कर सकते हो। फंडिंग जैसे आई थिंक लोगों ने बोला है कि दे आर नॉट इनफ फंड्स, सो दैट वुड सर्टनली जनरेट फंड्स, इट वुड बी अ गुड वे टू एक्सपेडाइट। तो इन थ्योरी आपकी बात बिल्कुल सही है।
और रेलवे फ्रेंच कॉरिडोर की जब बात हुई थी, उसको कॉन्सेप्ट आया, कई जगहों पर शुरुआत हुई, अलग अलग कारणों से उस पर हर्डल्स भी आए, वो कितना बड़ा बूस्टर का काम कर सकता है इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और डेवलपमेंट के लिहाज से? और फिलहाल जो स्थिति है उसमें क्या बड़े हर्डल्स दिखता है जो कि विरमानी साहब ने कि कई मसले जहाँ पर स्टेट और सेंटर के बीच में सामंजस्य या फिर मैं कहूँ कि कोऑर्डिनेशन की कमी है, या फिर लीगली और टेक्निकल इश्यूज ज़्यादा हैं उस पर कहीं?
देखिए रेलवे में रिफ़ॉर्म्स की तो बहुत आइडियाज़ हैं और बहुत सी चीज़ों में रिफ़ॉर्म की ज़रूरत है। एक मुद्दा तो ये रेलवे बजट का था जो रिफ़ॉर्म हो के जनरल बजट में मर्ज हो गया। जो बद्रीनाथ जी ने कहा कि रेलवे बोर्ड डिसमेंटल, ये तो बहुत अल्टीमेट सर्जिकल सॉर्ट ऑफ सोल्यूशन है मेरे हिसाब से, बट उससे पहले बहुत सी चीज़ें करने वाली हैं। छोटी चीज़ जो है, देखिए रेलवे के प्रोडक्शन मैन्युफैक्चरिंग यूनिट्स हैं, कुछ लोकोमोटिव बना रहा है।
इस वक्त केंद्रीय मंत्री धर्मेंद्र प्रधान मीडिया से मुखातिब है, सुनते हैं क्या कह रहे हैं।
मेरे 2 क्वेश्चन
माफ कीजिए, शायद मीडिया से बातचीत जरूर हो रही है आज मंत्रियों की ओर से। सर
था कि जैसे रेलवे मैन्युफैक्चरिंग यूनिट्स हैं, लोकोमोटिव्स बन रही हैं, वैगन्स बन रही हैं, सिग्नलिंग इक्विपमेंट हैं, दे आर ऑल वर्किंग इन ए वेरी नॉन ट्रांसपेरेंट मैनर। ये भी कई दफ़ा सजेस्ट किया गया कि कम से कम आप उनको तो कॉर्पोरेटाइज कर दीजिए, जो सो दैट उनकी ऑपरेशंस आर ट्रांसपेरेंट, इट इज़ नोन कितना खर्चा कहाँ हो रहा नहीं हो रहा। अभी तो एवरीथिंग इज सबस्यूम्ड इन ए रेलवे बोर्ड, इट इज़ ए बिग ब्लैक बॉक्स सो टू से, देयर इज़ नो ट्रांसपेरेंसी व्हाट दे आर स्पेंडिंग एंड वेयर दे आर स्पेंडिंग। उनकी अकाउंटिंग सिस्टम भी कैश अकाउंटिंग है, क्रूड बेस नहीं है। सो कई किस्म के रिफॉर्म्स हैं और मेरे ख्याल में स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट शुड बी कॉर्पोरेटाइजेशन ऑफ द मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एंटिटीज़ एंड देन यू गो। ये लैंड वाला इशू जो विरमानी साहब ने बताया, ये भी बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट है। मोनेटाइजेशन ऑफ पब्लिक लैंड के ऊपर कमेटी भी बनी थी, आई थिंक विजय केलकर है हेडेड दैट कमेटी ऑन मोनेटाइजेशन ऑफ पब्लिक लैंड। उसमें रेलवे लैंड के ऊपर और आर्मी कैंटोनमेंट्स के लैंड के ऊपर और कई PSUs के लैंड के ऊपर चर्चा हुई थी। तो ये हैं बट पॉलिटिकली टफ डिसीशंस। तो ये बजट में तो मैं समझता हूँ चीज़ें ये नहीं आ सकती, but I'm sure a lot of them are in the works within the government. ज़रूर हो रहा होगा इन पे काम.
All right, we'll also try and see some external factors as well. We're trying to, of course, get it all in within this 1 hour. But, you know, the economic survey, of course, factored oil prices and how, you know, in the growth story and as far as inflation is concerned, that is the one thing that we really need to watch out for. You know, so it was kind of a signal as well to the government, at least we were looking at it that way, on perhaps that's something that they can, you know, try and address at least. But that wasn't something that we heard, of course, because a lot of it, of course, was...
I heard,
you know,
Mr. Jaitley in some of the post-budget discussion. I have 2 or 3 points on that. One, of course, is that the 12% projected increase in crude oil prices, which is going to put pressure on your import bill, and then it is going to put pressure on your current account deficit, which is already touching 2% or so.
Yes.
And financing of that current account deficit is now taking place through various types of portfolio flows and things of that type. Now, to do a little bit of relaxation of your fiscal prudence and fiscal deficit and all, what signal it gives to portfolio investors, the change in the tax regime in the stock market, what type of signals it gives. So I don't know, I'm sure the government would have thought through all these implications, because if the crude prices continue to rise and the financing of the current account deficit becomes a problem, then many of these issues will probably come to haunt the government. So I think they have to be mindful of that. The second point, I think, is that when the crude oil prices were low, $15, $20 per barrel or something like that, then the gains which the economy was getting was shared in a 3-way process. Part of it was passed on to the consumer, part of it was used to reduce the subsidies for the oil companies, and part was government had mopped up as revenue resources. And the government itself at that time had indicated, and the expectation was that when the prices go up, then the revenue mop up that government had done by raising excise duties, they would give some relief, so that there is some cushion to the consumer when the going is not so good. So that has not happened in this budget. But I think the minister in his post-budget discussion did say that up to $70 they are comfortable, and if it goes beyond that, then they'll have to look at those options.
Absolutely.
So that is, they'll have to provide some cushioning to the consumer, because they had raised the excise revenue duties at a time when the crude prices were low. Now they are going up. It's time, sort of a payback time in a way.
So part of it depends on the projections. Some people have talked about from the low point to now about a 30% increase. Some private forecasters, one has heard, have talking about a 20% increase from this year to the next average. But the government in the economic survey has taken the IMF forecast of 12%. So what the effect is depends critically, you know, whether it is 10 or 30, makes a huge difference.
Huge
1
margin.
point.
Yes.
If it is 10, in my view, that's manageable. The second point is that they've already reduced the excise duty. I don't know if you noticed, we were all in this after the budget. Immediately afterwards, excise duty has been reduced by 2 rupees. If I got it right.
On petroleum.
On petroleum.
Petroleum,
so
diesel.
In some sense now, it's not clear to me whether that is post the budget number calculation, or is it already included.
Yes.
Hard to know till they spell it out.
Announced after the budget?
Yes, while we were in one of these discussions or somewhere, I heard that, or at least I got it on my web this thing. So the second point is that. Third is, you know, we have decontrol of petrol and diesel. If they allow that to go through, which they haven't, so I mean they've reduced the taxes, which takes care of his issue. But now, from now on, if they let pass through go through, it will have less effect on the budget, more on the consumers, so to say. But it's not a question of just consumers, it's a question of real income. You know, the way I try to explain to people past oil increases and declines, if it is passed through to the public, it's like a tax. You know, it is a tax which goes to a foreign country. So it will then have some effects on how quickly consumption recovers, and therefore the growth and other issues.
बद्रीनाथ जी, तो वाकई ये जो एक फैक्टर की बात हो रही है और जो टूल्स हैं उसका इस्तेमाल बहुत ही सावधानी से करना होगा, और जो एक फिजिकल डेफिसिट का बड़ा चैलेंज है, टारगेट रिवाइज किया गया है, उसको कैसे देखते हैं?
See, the point here is 0.2% or 3% should not be considered as a big slippage at all. But here two factors come into action. One is what is the exchange rate assumed for the next financial year, and secondly, what is the oil price that has been assumed? Because last year what was assumed and what went down was not passed on. When the oil prices went down to $40 or $35 per barrel, that was not completely reflected in the retail prices at all. I completely agree with Mr. Vasudev that it is a three-way apportioning of the price impact when it increases. But here, when it reduces, it has to be passed on somewhere, which has not been passed on. And today when it goes up again, because the economic survey talks about a strong possibility of hardening of crude prices in the next 1 year. If that is going to be the case, when the oil prices were low last year, most of the time the benefit was not passed on to the retail consumer. Today, when the oil prices are going to harden up, then also we are going to have it very difficult time. So it's basically a double whammy effect that I'm talking about.
Okay.
And the fiscal deficit hugely hinges on how our exchange rate is going to be, rupee value is going to behave vis-a-vis major currency, basket of currencies. Second is how the crude prices are going to happen. Third issue, perhaps, is how the oil exporters are going to behave in terms of output cut, or will they allow the prices to moderate.
Okay. Virmani, क्रेडिट क्रंच की बात भी बीच में आ रही थी और जिस तरीके से बैंकिंग सेक्टर के हमने हालत देखी, हालांकि उसको पुश करने के लिए गवर्नमेंट ने एफर्ट किए बजट से पहले भी, और यहाँ पर भी कुछ नज़र आ रहा है. इसका इम्पैक्ट क्या और कितना दिख सकता है, और इंटरनेशनल फैक्टर के लिहाज से, क्योंकि अगर रेट कट की बात करें इंटरनेशनल मार्केट में अमेरिका, यूएस जो दूसरी मार्केट रही हैं, उससे अगर से जोड़कर देखते हैं तो फिर हमें कितना सावधानी से आगे बढ़ने की ज़रूरत होगी?
देखिए, ये जो एनपीए प्रॉब्लम थी, क्रेडिट फ्रीज था, जो क्रेडिट ग्रोथ थी वो बिल्कुल गिर गई थी और अब थोड़ी थोड़ी बढ़नी शुरू हो गई है. और बीच में जो रियल इंटरेस्ट रेट जिसको इकोनॉमिस्ट बोलते हैं वो भी बहुत बढ़ गए थे. तो रियल इंटरेस्ट वाली प्रॉब्लम थोड़ी सी सुधार हो गई है क्योंकि इन्फ्लेशन बढ़ गई है, क्योंकि इट इज़ जस्ट द ऑपोजिट ऑफ. तो एक तो वो है. दूसरा जो एनपीए प्रॉब्लम अब सॉल्व करनी, इसकी थोड़ी डिले हो गई थी. हम कई लोगों ने 2014 में बोला था कि ये इंपॉर्टेंट प्रॉब्लम है, इसको सॉल्व करना चाहिए. फिर हम कई लोग भूल गए, इंक्लूडिंग माई सेल्फ, आई मस्ट एडमिट. तो उसकी डिले करके अब तैयार नहीं है. बट इट अफेक्ट्स बेसिकली कॉरपोरेट इन्वेस्टमेंट. तो कॉरपोरेट इन्वेस्टमेंट वैसे भी थोड़ी स्लो थी, पर अब टाइम आ रहा है शायद. अब लोग कह रहे हैं शायद 6 महीने में, 9 महीने, 12 महीने में कॉरपोरेट इन्वेस्टमेंट शुड पिक अप, because the atmosphere and confidence is increasing. तो उस पर वो थोड़ा सा डिले हो जाता है. some constraint may be there, but I think still there is enough time if they expedite the cleanup, which is in process now. तो जितनी जल्दी वो कर सकेंगे उसका उतना ही वो पॉजिटिव जो नीचे से आएगा उसमें बाधा नहीं पड़ेगा. it is a matter of support. This will provide support if there's an autonomous increase in investment by corporate sector.
All right. And coming back to what Mr. Virmani was talking about, the excise duty on petrol and diesel, it has of course been cut by 2 rupees. However, petrol price is likely to remain the same as the new road cess of 80 rupees per litre that has been introduced. So pretty much, I mean, things
just to neutralize that.
That's right, absolutely. Right. But coming to another factor, of course, that we're talking about, what I would like to also discuss, is bond yields at a 22-month high. Rupee also, we talked about the rupee exchange rate, and rupee also slipping a bit. What other factors could it be, other implications in fact of this higher fiscal deficit? Not alarming at the moment, but the indications are it could be rising. So in that case, what are the other implications for that?
I wouldn't say that 0.3% slippage in fiscal deficit is a small slippage. Given the size of the GDP, 0.3% translated into rupees is a pretty large number. So it is a cause for concern. And because you are crowding out that much of private investment and private borrowers, because government will be sucking up those resources to finance the fiscal deficit, and all those ill effects will follow. And on top of that, I feel that even this 0.3% is probably a little understated, because the assumption that has been made is that the GDP will grow at 7.75 or 5.
Oh, the exact number I have not checked.
So somebody is saying 7.75 is the assumption.
Budget survey में 7 to 7.
Whatever. So if, and that is a little on the higher side. So if the denominator is higher, then the fiscal deficit as a percentage of GDP will be less. So if the real GDP is not that 7.75, actually it may be even more than 3.5, or it can go up to 3.637. So probably that fiscal deficit slippage plus the possibility that it may be understated. I am not saying it is understated, but the possibility that it may be understated, because people also say that the revenue forecasts also are a little too optimistic and all that. So I think it is really certainly a cause for great concern, and that maybe election year and that fiscal rectitude which this government followed for 4 years, certainly they have loosened it a little bit.
And we see that is a trend towards the end of a term.
GST reasons and 11 months GST revenues and various other factors have come into play. But all in all, I think it is something which the government will have to watch very carefully, that it doesn't go out of hand, because it can have other sort of unintended consequences. Inflation will go up, your financing of current account deficit may get affected, your other macro indicators may get affected. So it is a serious matter. On the bond side, I won't comment much, but the announcement in the budget with regard to incentivizing or encouraging the corporates to meet part of their debt through the bond market, I think is a very good move.
Okay.
Because one of the problems in the NPAs and the banks is arising out of the mismatch between the liabilities and the assets. Assets for these corporates for investments are long term, then deposits are short term. There is a big mismatch which creates all types of problems. So if they are able to access a lot of money directly from the bond market, long term money, that will probably release some pressure on the bank to provide long term funds to corporates. So that is a very good thing, and the cost of funds to the bond market will also be much lower, because they will be accessing directly. They don't have to go through an intermediary like a bank to get their investable resources. So that is a good move, and I hope it is carried through.
All right. Mr. Badrinath, would you like to have a take on, as we're talking about the fiscal deficit, is the government just trying to show us a safe estimate at the moment? Do you feel that perhaps it could be higher?
Well, my guess is that, as Mr. Vasudev was saying, the spending part, the fiscal deficit, I guess you are talking about, the spending part needs to be taken care of in a big way, for the simple reason that the finance minister would tend to spend a lot this year, being an election year. And essentially the next 12 months you are going to have assembly elections in a big way. Then after that followed by the Lok Sabha election. If that is the case, the tendency to give away is likely to be there, and the kind of buoyancy that you have seen this time in the direct taxes, which he has reported is something like 18.9% or something, which may not be there, or we do not know how the economy is going to behave after the turbulences of the GST and further down. So if this is the case, there must be very careful, because he has very little elbow room to operate in terms of managing his fiscal, the broad parameters in terms of fiscal deficit and elsewhere. And also inflation will come into big impact, will have a big impact because of the oil prices and things like that.
Right.
So that is a very tricky situation that he will be going through.
चलिए, प्रोग्राम टाइम खत्म हो रहा है. मैं एक बहुत ही शार्प रिएक्शन चाहूँगा. विरमानी सर, शुरुआत आपसे. एक बड़ा हिट और एक बड़ा मिस आज के बजट में.
My biggest disappointment is the fiscal deficit, both for this year and next year. What I am very happy about it that जो people suspect कर रहे थे populist होगा, ये वो होगा, deliberate and good effort has been made to combine policy reforms, at least potential policy reforms, क्योंकि कई में कमिटी है, ये वो है, वो अभी हुए नहीं है, but potential policy reform with expenditures and expansion of expenditure.
So more
that is the
reformist
positive.
than populist.
Yes, the parts which are reformist in my view are the agriculture, education, health and employment.
Was there, sir?
Well, I would say कि all in all a very balanced and perhaps to some extent a bold budget with an eye on the election, and rightly focuses on the problems of the day, which is agriculture distress and rural distress. So it is a very well crafted budget.
बद्रीनाथ सर, टैक्स की बात तो आपने कही है, कोई और मिस आपकी नज़र में और एक हिट क्या है?
You know my views about the taxation part of it, but on overall what would happen actually is that I'm happy that he has given a big focus, or consumer spending has been shifted towards the semi-urban and rural areas. That part is okay with me. Second part is he has presented a politically correct budget, barring the salaried class, and that is all about it.
बहुत मुश्किल होता है बजट, और सब जानते हैं, और खासतौर पर जब इकोनॉमिस्ट बताते हैं, समझाते हैं कि बजट बनाना और उसके बाद घर के सभी सदस्यों को खुश करना उस बजट के जरिए, क्योंकि लिमिटेड फाइनेंस और ध्येय या एजेंडा जो होता है उसको फुलफिल करना भी मुश्किल है। लेकिन हमने कोशिश की कि अलग अलग सेक्टर में क्या कुछ था, क्या उम्मीद थी, इकोनॉमिक सर्वे क्या कह रहा था, उसका इम्पैक्ट क्या था, और बजट के जरिए किसे साधने की कोशिश है। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आप तीनों मेहमानों का हमारे साथ इस चर्चा में जुड़ने के लिए। लेकिन ये खास कवरेज लगातार जारी रहेगी। छोटा सा ब्रेक लेंगे और ब्रेक के बाद हमारे सहयोगी फ्रैंक इस सफर को आगे बढ़ाएंगे।